It says we're live. Of course we're alive. We wouldn't be here if we weren't alive. Hello, Bosto to everyone. And you're going to get your daily dose of some subliminal programming as you hear me in the background. And this, there we go. See, you can hear it twice, and that confuses everybody. But hey, anyway, yeah, there it is. Uh, Man, I'll tell you, it's constant reprogramming, constantly. You got to do it, folks. It is. And I happen to love being in a meditative state. It opens your minds to, folks, there's a lot of living entities that surround this sphere that we're in. And you know what? Many of them are just kind of hanging out and kind of talking amongst themselves because not enough of us down here are open enough to talk to them up there or wherever is. I don't think in a actual quantum universe that up and down is really descriptive of direction. I could be wrong, but so Bosto to everyone. Favor be unto you, nothing missing, nothing broken. Hello, Robert V. We're going to get Robert on. I love the guy. I mean, there is this, hey, David Castle, and from the light of darkness, hey, favor be unto you, consciously aware, Bosto to you. Saw some sigils. Excellent. Good stuff, folks. So we're gonna change the world. It's the right time at the right moment. Hello, Nina the Mystic. How you doing? Faith, good to see you. Saul, hello. And by the way, David Combs, let's all just stop and think about David for a second. There are illnesses where pain is just constant. And pain sucks. I mean, pain is a good lesson. It's a catalyst, right? But you don't want to stay in that land. So, David, we just send you much, much favor and much love and much healing. And we stand strong on that. So, you are one among us. And so we acknowledge you and we stand with you. So, absolutely. So, hello, Know Thyself. Good to see you. Max, hello. Good to see you. So good to see everyone. Far out stuff going on, man. There really is. There is some. It's. Anyway, I can start going down, but then I get all. So we got a busy week this week. Tomorrow is with Trina. I think Wednesday, going to have a brilliant person on. She goes by Lotus. I mean, the woman is a phenomenal researcher, and what a database. And I hope to have that confirmed. And then Sunday, 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 Friday, Sue G is going to be joining us. And then next Monday, Franny is going to be in. I spoke with her this morning, and wowza, it's going to be a great discussion with all three of those phenomenal ladies. So there we go. Man, deep meditation today. Wow, it's so speaking straightforwardly, and I know some have a problem with it. By the way, how many of you have master crystals? You need to start we need to really start activating this. We've got a focus now. Bosto everywhere. I was at some retail establishments and over the weekend and said Bosto to everyone that I was there, particularly the sales clerks. Every person said, "What is Bosto?" And when I told them, they all loved it. from the 20-somethings to the 70-somethings. Yeah, Bosto, folks. Posted Bosto on my page yesterday and made it like a game. Hey, that's cool, Brandy. How did that? I'd be curious to see how that goes. Far out. Hello, Ruby. How are you doing? Great song about you with the late Kenny Rogers. Yeah. Grandpa Brian, peace. Good to see you. And Jill, David, very much love. Good to see you, my friend. Gonna get you on here, dude. Belanca, hello. So good to see you. You know what would be a good show would be David Barry and Robert V. Now that would be a good. Loretta, she's intense. Yes, she is. yes, she is. But that's what makes her so good. Hello, Sherry. Good to see you. Amy, hello. Great song by you. Pure Paraleague. Amy, what you going to do? Anyway, I digress. Anyone see the card today? I want to see if Big Al, if David Perry is his partner. Boom, 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 boom. Someone said Bosto is socialism. Well, you know what? We're going to transmute it. You know, that's how that thing works. That's how it works, you know. Square, yellow, no. Circle, no. So anyway, ooh, Bernadette Moore, you get it. We start get some of this, we'll be giving away some Bosto t-shirts. Yes, we got them being printed up so far out. So let's see what by the way, I didn't realize, but you can't buy these anymore. These they're gone. I mean, they're gone. And wow, I didn't realize just people have seen the same effect I have. These are pretty accurate cards. I have found them to be. How interesting that we pulled this card today. Interesting. So we pulled the arrow card. Interesting. Hey, Steiger, how about show everybody else? I tell you, I did some research on the beautiful soul that created these. She's a very gifted individual. This is called the arrow card, and it's pursuit, skill, and teamwork. Spot on. You know, shall we have a spot to tea, everybody? Yes. Interesting. And if any of you are really good at doing card readings, come on. Love to have you on. I think it would be far out. That's all I got to say. And these cards here, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's a interesting energy on that. That's all I got to say. Wow. So spent so much time reading. Hey, Danny, how you doing? Regina, hello. Seriously, I'm into like 5 books right now. Hey, Joe Sapien. So how do we go about this? When it comes to ascension, we have the mistaken reality and perception that ascension is only a human thing. Furthermore, we have a false assumption and belief that to be a bipedal humanid, in this case, we would be of the species Homo, meaning man. We are of the genus Sapiens. Franny, you could probably answer this better than I. Sapiens? Is that, I think, an accurate term? So it already says that there has been 555, Saul, is get ready for some change, buddy. I'll just tell you, I saw his thing there. Just get ready for some change. But anyway, we think every person on this planet is of the same creation. We've been blindly misled. No God created man. No God created sapiens. Sapiens. And what complicates this even more is what qualifies specifically to be born here. We say that every human born is a soul. Really? That's Abrahamic theology. There's no evidence, no proof of that at all, unless you're into the doctrinational of eschatology. That's up to you. Because in our arrogance, sapiens have become to be misled that everything that inhabits these bodies here came from the same place. The odds are they are among us in this soul tribe. You could have two people in this soul tribe who were parents who could have given birth to something that's not even what we would call of a human soul. In fact, humans on a spirit level are probably in the minority. There are many other life forces, life beings. They're not even near us in any capacity, in any shape, form, spiritually, soul, or any other. They're here specifically to ascend. And their ascension is not necessarily in the same dimension that some of us will be going to. This is heavy because as I've gone through, this is probably one of the most interesting sets. You know, I've done some videos on these books. This is the yellow book. Freaking do you good. There are the book of alien races, which is a fascinating one. And the fact is, the point being driven here is that even if you believe in reincarnation, and it's evidence that it does exist, one lifetime is not enough for any spirit to ever gain what it's supposed to be gaining in one incarnation. They're accumulative. But that doesn't mean that everyone that's in these bipedal humanid bodies are from the same of our earth. There are people that are in these bodies that are born just like us, go through the same birthright passage. They're not of our origin. And it becomes very difficult when you begin to try to pin down what an individual soul, spirit, origin is. The arrogance is by the religions today, and even the philosophy is flawed. You go back and you look at Aristotle, Origins, Socrates, you look at these great thinkers, even the modern thinkers. Alan Watts may have been probably one of the closer to that, I think, that finally began to realize, and probably because he was in contact, he was channeling. I've been doing that regularly, and it's quite fascinating to see what happens. But the fact is that to realize that not all humans are humans. There are a great deal who are here and have come here in the past that were on a separate path of ascension. And part of that path, you have to go through here. You have to incarnate here for some reason. There are billions of planets, but the rare ones like these of this Earth sphere, they're unique. They don't exist in a simple plane, the plane that we see our universe, which is probably a straight plane. It's one-dimensional. The fact is, Earth right now exists in many of its exact same forms in multiple dimensions. Right now, there is a fifth dimension Earth. There is a sixth, seventh, and etc. And by the evolution of what we can document, all the great religions, all the prophecies, all even of the AI prophecies, have all pointed to an event. We are in that event. And consequently, it's just not those spirits, those souls that are of a certain descent. The word has been gotten out, not only in this universe, but in the other multi-planes, dimensions. The event is here. We're going to experience it. Those who are passing on, it's Carla, Brian, others, they're going to be witnessing the event as well, just from a different perspective. We will all be joined consciously by that point. But the point, back to this is not a human God creator thing, particularly of the Abrahamic doctrines. It's not exclusively theirs. I don't know who I am, to be candid with you. That's where accessing the Akasha records becomes critical. And we're coming into that vibration where I believe many of us are going to start accessing it. I do believe we're going to get a peek at what we really are. I'm convinced of this. The books that I'm reading, and there's one in here particularly, this is definitely an advanced read. If you're just catching up, this one probably will be a little, well, who knows? I was fascinating by this, and I can't put it down, and I'll be reading it extensively this evening as well. Timeline collapse and universal ascension, the future of third dimensional Earth and fifth dimensional Terra. Many of us are heading for Terra. There may be some among us who may be heading to Gaia. And regrettably, and I don't believe in this particular group, but regrettably, there'll be many who will stay in the new third dimensional Earth, that lower density. This wave that's coming through, this grand procession, is an event. And this one here is like kind of watching the most interesting clock, that where all the slots line up perfectly, but only for that time. And then they go on their way. There apparently is an upgrade taking place right now in the second density, and everything ascends. Everything. Some actually rescind, but it's only for a period of time. For instance, you could have someone living in the seventh density coming back here into the third, giving great enlightenment. History is filled with that. I'd love to have Cyrus on as well. I think it'd be an interesting conversation. Now, what's really interesting is when we begin to open up our awareness, our consciousness to the other humans. And again, human would almost have to be an eclectic term, meaning diversity of many species. Now, the interesting thing is that they have to go through the same soul contract, the same oversoul like we do, meaning their memories are wiped as well. And it is a game in a sense. Ascension is, in a sense, a game. There's great rewards for accomplishment, great setbacks for penalties. But here's the thing. As I was reading in this book, and I want to read to you something here. I want to get to and I had actually, here, let me just read this to everyone. There are many humans on Earth presently, but as we have mentioned before, though they are of a human family in shape, form, and genetic makeup, not all are derived from soul matrices that are related to what we term the human angelic soul species. You see, there may be many of us who are in fact angels. Yeah. I think there's a lot of us that are truly of the angelic descent. I believe that many of us here are probably some of the originals, but I digress. Again, let us emphasize that we are not creating a special group here, and neither is there one particular human race, gender, or creed that is of the soul dominion of human angelic souls. Human angelic souls are incarnated in every human form, gender, orientation, type, and race existing on Earth at the current time. This is merely to point out to you that living alongside you and the multitude of human angelic souls who are considered the guardians of Earth and its dimensional portals, there are also alien soul matrices incarnated in human form. This has been so since your beginnings, but it is far more prevalent now and with far more impact on the current and coming time period than at any other point in the timeline, which you will begin to discover. Think about this. It gets strange. Your lover in the midst of coitus most likely may not be of the same soul matrices of you. And this gets really interesting because as we begin to see in the law of Ra, we know now that procreation is not what we've been taught at all. Many metaphysical, New Age, old religion believes that only humans can produce humans. That is assumed to be also of the soul matrices. Turns out that may not be the case at all. And as you look back, and if you study, because I come out of Christianity, and I was an avid studier of the Bible, real avid. But as I look back now, even in that doctrination, they were telling us, there is something more than us here. We have all been deceived and misled, thinking that this Adam and Eve concocted story was our origin and the reason for us being here. No. Hello, London. How are you doing? Good to see you. Thank Jack. Not the case at all. And this may explain why we, sapiens, have such a difficult time getting along with one another. Because in essence, we're not all of the same. We don't have the same agenda. There's some of us who this is the last time through. We've done our job. We fulfilled our missions. There's nothing more to be gained through additional incarnations. In fact, there's a real danger of that. But the problem has been there hasn't been an opening like this. And so now it's more than crucial timing. The Earth's population is exploding. And when you begin to see the complexity of the soul matrices that are involved in this and how they're coming in from multiple dimensions right now, we see them as UFOs. We see, as Bashar says in the Book of Limitations, that this is like kind of everyone walking, kind of doing the zombie texting thing. Back in the day, you remember when you would go to airports and you didn't have to have masks, but I did videos on that. It's like, everyone was doing the zombie text. But we don't recognize the fact, and that's probably why we have so many schisms within our religious belief systems. Because when we come together and we start focusing in on a God, a deity per se, what we find out is that, wait a minute, I'm not seeing the same personification that you are. And so what do we do? Well, in the past, you would split off and you'd start your own religion, your own denomination. And that's how it's worked. But when we begin to consider why certain personalities, certain individuals, certain families seem to ascend into power, of course, we have been told, well, they're the bloodlines. It's deeper than that. It's hard for us to fathom, and I think the more that we become aware of it, the more I believe we're going to begin to see it. There are distinct differences in the soul matrices of what we look like on the inside. We identify with these physical bodies as us, but this is not us. These are avatars. We, they come in new and they get old. They break down. Some are just broken when they were actually met. It now makes a lot of sense to me why so many births are not at full term. We're bringing in different matrices into the soul matrix that makes it complicated. And then, if you really take this into a psychology point of view, look at this becomes really interesting. Our philosophers, Freud, never considered that there were aliens in the same body. No, Wayne, that can't be. Yeah, I think it is. I think it has been. And I think it's happening right now. Kelly says, probably psychologists hate this point of view. Yeah. And now it brings in a whole different point of view. You know, you have multiple personality disorder, right? Schizophrenia. Then you now have cases where you have bodies that actually had possessed multiple entities. I can see where that happens now. But it's mind-blowing to consider, folks, that, I mean, this is how, when I told my wife last night, when I came to this epiphany, because I just had to put my stuff down, you know, we both read at night, and so it's very quiet. And she heard me, and she said, well, what's wrong? And I looked at her and I said, you know, I love you, but I said, just who the hell are you? Of course, she looked back at me and said, well, excuse me, just who the hell are you? And we both had a little chuckle, and, you know, she knows me, and she says, so what's going on inside here? And I said, the stark reality may be this: there may be no such thing as a truly human soul matrix. It may be, in fact, I looked at her and I said that this is truly a homogeneous existence here. I said, the reality seems that there are so many different soul matrices. Bashar says that this is how their species learn first contact, is that they actually incarnate in a lifetime in that species form, so they become acclimated to the customs, how these bodies work. You know, exorcism. I have, back in the day when I was actively involved in the charismatic movement, Pentecostal movement, saw many spirits being exorcised. I don't think they really give a damn if the name is Jesus or Muhammad or whoever it is. I think the living has authority rule over the spirit source in that realm. But if they can, they're going to move into a body. In fact, Jesus' teaching said as much. If you cast out one and the house becomes cleaned up, that spirit comes back. What did it say? It brings 70 more worse than itself. In fact, this is where I became enlightened to this back in the mid-'80s when I was deep into demonology, that it became very clear to me that if you take, for instance, the demoniac in Decapolis, that Jesus's disciples could not cast the demon out. And of course, the Christ came up, and the demons recognized the Christ consciousness and said, we know who you are. Now, if you follow the story, actually that story is about Vespasian, but it has an interesting spiritual aspect of it too. And so the story goes that Jesus says, well, I'm going to cast you out of the guy. And they said no. And he said, who are you? And they said, we are Legion. Now, that, if you look at this from a theology point, it basically is saying that the human soul has no limit, and that it can actually house other entities besides itself. And if you go and read the story, that's where the 3,000 pigs ran off the cliff and drowned in the Sea of Galilee, all because they were possessed with these demons. Weird stuff, folks. So right there is an admission that the human soul is residing, abiding, could be competing with other soul matrices that have over the time been mistaken as angels, demons, etc. We know now that we're in a time where poltergeists, ghost activity is at an all-time high. Our technology is catching them now, recording them. We now know that there is something more here than just what our human soul matrices crossing over. There seems to be, and you can check this out, that in many paranormal circles, they all agree something is going on. It's as if some portal has been opened. I contend it's not so much that portals have been opened, and yes, they have been, but there's something else here. There's something drawing life soul matrices, not of our kind. I don't even know what our kind is. It's so arrogant to say that because we never taught on that. There's no school of theology that will teach on this. No metaphysical school that I know of. I don't even know if the mystery schools would teach on this, that because it's all assumed. Well, we all have the same soul, the same, we're all spirit beings, we're all from the creator. Well, obviously we have different zip codes, but it's very plain we have different dimensions. And the thought that we all come in here to incarnate here for our own specific purpose gets really more interesting, because now you really have to have a sense of cooperation, a sense of gathering. I was reading an account of a particular haunting, and the spirit was actually speaking. And it said, I have been alone, and now I have found others. Well, wait a minute. How did these spirits, how did these soul matrices get off the path here and didn't see the light opening up when they died? What happened? What, did they get the reject? Did they, what, were they in coach and they oversold the flight? Something happened. Something has trapped them here. Now, there is some that says, well, those are not all human. Would make sense then, wouldn't it? Gets rather confusing. And if you cross over without any type of direction or belief system, I mean, regardless of be it of your making or of someone else's, then you can really get lost. But that's not happening now. Something has happened. Something has changed. And I believe we're in for the event of, in this space-time, that rarely comes through. It's just my take on it. I don't know. But yeah. So if we're not alone now, this whole thing about when we start seeing people channel, we're reading about the one, and we're going to be talking about more and more about the law of attraction. See, we haven't finished. We still got our wizard apprentice guide, but I think we can add so much more to it. I think in many cases, we're much more advanced, but it's good always to, are your dreams getting clear? Boy, I tell you what, I'm learning to discipline myself to know that it's a dream, to verbally speak in my dream. I know that this is a dream. And yeah, so I think that works as well. So when we think about the aspect of I am, we're reading really a channeling session. And of all the books, ladies and gentlemen, that I've shown you here, the ones that we have done videos on, all of them have a common theme. And that is that there are more here than what we think, that humans really don't know what humans are. And when we get Franny on, it'd be interesting to take it from her point of view, from a paleontology point of view. Does this explain where the denizens came from? The Cro-Magnons, the Neanderthals, all the other subgenuses of man. I mean, it's real interesting now. So when you think you're coming together to procreate, chances are you're not giving birth to the same, you're not bringing in a like soul potentially of your own making. Wow. Dolores Canyon. Yeah, she's good. Yeah, she is. And this kind of makes sense. We all view this hologram that we're in as reality, but we all interpret it from a completely different point of view. And this blows away that whole concept of a heaven. I mean, now what happens? You can't bring other species into an environment like that. Bashar gave an example of 4 other species, and there is one that is a multi-dimensional being. They don't know and it's like he was pointing out, humans have no way of conceptualizing even to communicate with something like that, and vice versa. But that species is on the road of ascension. They are all looking to ascend as well. This brings ascension, in my opinion, into a much more broader context. And so when we start talking about I am, I create, your thoughts manifest your reality, that seems to be a principle that's learned in this realm. When you incarnate into this density, we seem to lose that understanding. And the fact is, many are in a situation today that out in the world, it looks very bleak. But this group, and it's a fact, folks, people come and visit in this, they listen, and they all comment, there's something different about this group. And it is. I think many of us are aware that we may not be all the same soul matrices, but we seem to have been able to form a tribe, and that is becoming powerful. And I believe as we continue to grow together here, we're going to do group manifestations. And I think it's because we come from so many diverse places prior to here. And we're finding that the energy is, how shall we say, enjoyable as we come together. And as I was meditating today, I was listening, as you heard, on the subliminal, and I was having this conversation with this energy. We could call it a spirit being. It was sentient. And I had the most delightful conversation. And as I was talking with this intelligence, I was immersed into this. I tell you what it felt like. It felt like oil, but it was warm. And this oil had color. It was like an alabaster, mother of pearl. And as I looked at it, and this being was talking to me, and this is what I wrote this down. Everything has a spirit. Everything that has a name has a spirit over it. Those things for which we seek all have spirits that rule over them. And here's what I promised to say, and I'm fulfilling that promise. And as you fulfill a promise with these beings, they'll trust you more. Hear me out. Prosperity is a spirit being. It's a physical personification. It's an actual spirit being. And I was told that so many have never spoken to the spirit being called prosperity. The spirit being said to tell you that it only, hear me out, goes into covenant with those other spirit beings who acknowledge it. The spirit called prosperity has in its house many other dominions. We know some of those dominions, for instance, as fortune. We know that as well as wealth. Its house contains many other spirit beings. But if you make a covenant with the house of the spirit of prosperity, then now prosperity has a legal right to be in your life. Otherwise, you're just going to become a victim of every wind and wave that comes. I believe that the other entities that incarnate in these bodies, I believe many of them know that instinctively. And I have found it true, and I think many of you would find it as well, that it's when you acknowledge something by name that there becomes a connection of a personal relationship. And so as we continue to grow, I mean, think about it. Be of service to others. Someone said in the comments on Saturday's show, well, you should question who are the others. I don't think she realized what she was really saying. Maybe she did. But it's very apparent that there are many others that ain't like you. And again, I don't know exactly what am I. I believe that our works, our essence shows that in many cases, I do believe we're of that species of which they call human angelic beings, soul. But I also believe that there are very many others of the same house of royalty that are not of our house. And who knows? When we do cross over, I think that then you'll see the the welcoming committee. And then you're going to know. It's like, oh man, I knew that. Danny says already happening. Hey, that's really cool. Yeah, ethereal waves. Isn't that true? I mean, it's a question I was meditating on. And now I'm more excited than ever because the possibility exists, ladies and gentlemen, that many of us may be from a royalty of species that we can't even comprehend. Consciously aware says, by being in service to others, you are being in service to yourself. For everyone is a part of you. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it is the road to ascension. I think it's the last key. Someone showed a sigil that they had made and it looked like a key. And I think it is the key. Where I was out mowing the yard and I find myself saying this. Be of service to others. Be of service. It's like a mantra now in my head. You know, it's that earworm. I can't get the song out of my head. But in this case, I don't want to. I like it. It calms me. It gives me a different perspective when I see a couple walking their dog or a couple with their children on a walk. Because now I think, be of service to others. And a lot of times I can just send the fact that I can just say, favor be with those people. I cover those people with favor. That is, in a sense, being service to them. You know, it's amazing. I think narcissists are from a race. Zero empathy. Yeah, you know, it may be true. It may be very, very true. You know, you think about some of the horrendous, mass murders, right? That we've all witnessed and we've read about. It's been said, as you can actually read the newspaper accounts, they weren't human. And I think they may have been right. I think even those that are in power, I tell you, there are those in Congress that if we knew who and what they were, we probably wouldn't want them in there. But this begins to answer a lot of issues because, you know, most wars are all started by a minority. It's never the majority. And then it begins to bring in how they segregate us and how they hurt us. They hurt us into recessions, depressions, wars. You know, it's always, it seems like the vast number of maybe us, whoever us is, that we seem to be some sort of a ritual exercise for their ascension. And here's the strange thing about it. What's ascension? Elevating to a higher frequency into a higher dimension. Mere materializing and then beginning to incarnate into the fifth dimension, maybe sixth, seventh densities. But that is all perceived in a particular point of view from a limited perspective of what we call sapiens. What if ascension is far more complex, much more complicated than what we have been led to believe in the simplicity of the passing? That would then make sense why there would be a lot of different alien soul matrices going through the same incarnation in what we call human bodies. I've often thought this. Why is it that if there was a time when I was very much into the hospital ministry, healing ministry, because I'm a healer, and it was always difficult to go to the pediatric ward. And I can remember back then praying in tongues and just really, and what I was doing, I was channeling. I just didn't know it. And you're building an electromagnetic field around you. And it's that electromagnetic energy that will help heal bodies because our bodies are electric. But in any case, I digress. And I often question why some babies, children, 2, 3 years old, their bodies, literally, it's almost like they rejected them. And they never go any further. It begins to pull into my thinking now that it's because we're all not at the same place. And now you can begin to see how intricate the energies that have to blend together in order for that essence, that soul matrix, that what we call spirit, to give life to the body. I think somewhere there is a negative energy flow that separates it. And it's just something that I think about. Isn't that interesting? Journeyman, that's fairly interesting. Yeah, from across the galaxy, yeah. Wow, where the freak did this hour go to? I mean, folks, we were going to get back into picked up where we left on Friday, but what a freaking hour. I have no idea where that all came from. It was I Sing the Body Electric. I knew that gal that did that show back in the day. And anyway, there's a story behind that. Yeah, you see, and it's really interesting now, I think, how we begin to see each other. And it kind of makes sense, is that it for me, it's brought a new opportunity for awareness to realize that, yeah, we may all be in these bodies, but we may be galaxies, dimensional universes. But we came here. And I don't think many of us stay very long. I believe that many of us incarnate back to where we came from. If we are truly of Earth origin, I think the opportunity is afforded for us to go out into other opportunities. But there is a dimensional evolution taking place here, and this is what we're feeling. And it seems to be the event of this time-space continuum, and it's one that everybody seems to want a ticket for. So, folks, and we are getting ready here. This channel is dedicated to the fact that we are getting ready, that we're learning to expand our understanding, our openness, our acceptance. And that's healing. And if we adapt the motto, be of service to others, I think that that's the ultimate. I think that the spirits above are applauding from whatever dimension or realm of the galaxy they come from, or the universe. I think they're applauding us. They're probably having a drink up there, maybe sharing, a margarita, and saying, by golly, I think they got it. I think they're really doing it. And we are. I think we're going to be, again, I'm telling you, folks, get ready. We're going to manifest together. We're going to do it in a manner that we are collectively connected telepathically, because that's how we're going to be talking anyway. We might as well start getting used to it. And many of us are really getting good at it. And, well, thank you. Thank you, Susie Q. So get ready. Strap in, pull the seatbelts tight, and baby, I'm going to tell you what, make sure that the tray tables are put up forward and that your drinks are securely secured, because you don't want to get that all over you when we start moving at warp speed. And we are. And by the way, I believe we're going to have help of the ethereal kind. I believe that there are beings right now monitoring this group. They're saying, oh yeah, They look prepared. Yeah. All right, folks. See you tomorrow. Didn't even get to it today. Well, yeah, Miss Trina will be on, and I'm sure that that's going to be. I think Kaz may be coming on. I'm not sure. I know we got to get Marcia, but anyway, we'll have someone on besides Trina and myself, and who knows, maybe us. And then I'm hoping Lotus comes on Wednesday, and then definitely Miss Suji on Friday. Talk about what she is really into, ladies, is something you're going to really want to hear about. Yeah. All right, folks. Y'all are very groovy. Thank you. It was phenomenal. I just don't know what happened to it. All right. Basto to all of us then. That's what I say. All right. Bye-bye, folks.